Okay, so today inside of Avid Media Composer, I thought we'd talk about something that some people don't normally talk about as much. They're not really as exciting maybe for some people, but it's really important and really some useful materials that we're going to talk about in terms of working with Avid Media Composer, and that is particularly bin settings and some things we can do inside of the bin and some bin controls we have. This is really important stuff for people like assistant editors, I think, people who are doing the work kind of behind the scenes, you know, maybe preparing to become an editor, some of the grunt work that you may have to do inside of here. So we have the bin. We've talked about the bin inside of there, and the bin is kind of the primal building block of Avid Media Composer. If you look in settings, Command-Shift equal, and we go in here to user settings, and we go to bin settings, you'll see that the bin is the thing that it saves. It saves the bin, and so Avid thinks in terms of a kind of a bin workflow. Everything saves inside of a bin, and everything exists inside of a bin, and so bins are really what Avid cares about. So if you ever look at the project, you know, on the desktop or somewhere else here, if you go into your projects folder, I have this projects folder here of Avid projects. Inside of here, you know, what it really cares about is these AVBs, these Avid video bins. This is the important ingredient. The rest of this is just housing. We've talked about this before, but I do want to talk about it again. You know, we can take these out of here and just say, hey, we just need to keep the sequences bin. Sometimes people will just, you know, Command copy, Command C, Command V, copy and paste the sequences bin, and just have the sequences bin available to you. So let's talk about the bin and what the bin really does and how the bin really works and some things we can do with the bin beyond just the bin settings in here. So we obviously have our three views. We have our text view, our frame view, and our script view, which people talk about sometimes, but we're looking at text view here. So text view obviously is some controls you have for text. So if there's certain things, we have this B-roll folder, and if there's certain B-roll we like or certain B-roll that we care about, we can say, oh, we want this B-roll here. We can even look in script view or something and say, we want, you know, this clip, let's say this clip, maybe this clip, and this clip. I'm just holding down Command so I can select multiples. Again, that would be Control on a PC, and I'm selecting these clips here because these are the clips that are really important to me. Maybe not this one. I don't like that one. No, sorry. I mean, it's a good clip, but just not for what I'm doing. And this clip here, and this clip, yeah. And so I can go in here in text view, and I can say, go to this little icon right here where this little clear thing is, and I can right-click on this and choose a color. So if I can right-click and choose a color, and I can choose a label color for this, we're going to make light blue. Here's our label color, and this will obviously make this light blue in the track. If on the track we have, in the timeline fast menu, we go to track color, sorry, not track color, go to clip color, and go to source-based color. So this has some colors for stuff that's offline. This is some colors for stuff that is definitely proxy files. So if you're using Apple ProRush proxy or if you're using H.264 proxy, stuff that are linked clips you can have listed there, and different frame rates listed as those. So these are all different frame rates or whatever it may be. These will be the colors as appropriate for those. But for these, you know, we have source local colors, and these are the colors that are there for these clips. And so, cool. So now it's showing up as blue clips since these are blue clips, just so we have a listing of that. And so that's a thing we can do, simply enough. Now, simply enough, these are alphabetized by name, so we can go in here in the name category and we can alphabetize these properly. And so we can just click on the name. Now there is a thing you can do. This is a little old school way of doing this. You can actually right click on this and then sort on column ascending or sort on column descending. So this would be sort on column ascending, and then you could right click and do sort on column descending, and so you'd have this in alphabetical order based on name, based on descending or ascending. But here's the truth, honestly, you don't really need to do that anymore. That was the old way of doing it. Simply enough, if you ever used Microsoft Excel or any other program before, you can just double click on this and it will just jump back and forth between ascending and descending order based on there. And you can do this with any column here. So any column you have, any column you could say, oh, if I want to go by duration, sometimes I do this by duration. This is really important. Sometimes I always have this problem where I'm looking for a good B-roll clip and I keep grabbing clips that are like, oh, this clip is 2 seconds long. And it's like the clip I randomly click on when I'm in frame view just happens to be, oh, this clip is super short, you know, and I have that problem there. And so I run into that problem all the time. And no, I want to sort in duration so I know which are the longer clips. I'm looking for a good 20-second clip, and now, okay, these ones are 20 seconds or longer. I can sort by duration and have those controls there. Now, right now, I'm in a statistics view. So statistics view right here is the mode of the bin view mode here. And so the bin view modes offer you basic, which gives us the name, the start time code, the end time code, the duration, the number of tracks, 1 track of video, 2 tracks of audio. This is how it's laid out, and the video format. And it also includes a section here for comments as well. So this is what's in basic view. There's also what's called capture view, and capture view offers these things. It offers the name, the start, the end, duration, the track, whether it's offline or not. This is really helpful to let us know whether or not a file is offline. So if it's missing something, if it sees the master clip but can't find the media and the master clip is there and it's completely offline, offline will give us that option of seeing that in there. What drive it's on and a comment section. There's also something called film view. Film view is crazy to me. That always bogs my mind because I don't work with celluloid film. You know, I'm not Christopher Nolan or anything. So, but if I have the ink number, the keynote number, the KN end, the keynote duration, whether it's a pull in or pull out, the sound time code, what scene it's from, what take it's from. Now you say, hey, how does the video clip know what scene it's from? Well, it doesn't. In this case, if you had this as all these clips are from scene 1 or something like there, you click on these clips and say, go in here and say, oh, this is from scene 1, this is from scene 2, this is from scene 1, this is from scene 1, this is from scene 2, this is from scene 47, this is from scene 3, etc. And guess what? That's the work, again, that assistant editors are going to have to do. And so same thing with the take, you know, which take was this? This was take 3 of scene 1. This is take 2 of scene 2. This is take 1 of scene 1, you know. And so you could organize them that way, and maybe, you know, your editor wants all this information laid out this way and wants all this scene and take information. Then there's the sound roll and the lab roll and the cam roll and the shoot date. You can actually include what date it was shot on. Again, this is to be something that you have to type in. This was shot on May 1st. You know, and this is from May 1, and you can type in May 1, and, you know, you could have this there like so, and this is from May 1st, and so, etc., and this here is from May 1st, and so, you know, that's today, and so this would be the day that it was shot on, and you could put in all the information there. Now, I like, personally, there's also what's called format view, which gives us some other information, gives us some more formatty information, what resolution, etc., what video format it's in, what project it's in, just the names, nothing else really. There's what's called the media tool. We'll talk about the media tool a little bit later, but there's media tool view of how this is laid out. And then lastly, my favorite, and I don't know why it's my favorite, I think it's because it's the one I learned on. You know, it's like the first thing you learned is what's called statistics view. And statistic view, I don't know, speaks to me, gives me some information inside here of how this is laid out, and this really, you know, this works for me. But we're going to come up with our own view. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to say, inside of statistics view, we're going to switch to custom view. And custom view gives us just the name. Well, that's kind of boring. This is just the name. Well, what's here is we can go in here into the columns, and we can say, in the columns, we can click on this and say choose columns. Up here, we can say choose columns. We can add in some columns. And here's all the list of columns you could possibly ever want inside of Avid Media Composer. Man, all this good stuff. So let's see, what's stuff that I care about? What's stuff that's really important to me? I do care about the duration. So I do care about the duration of the clip. Yeah, that matters to me. I do care about whether or not, and we're going to go here and choose columns, and we'll click on a bunch of columns here. I care about the creation date. That's kind of sometimes important to me. What drive it's on. I do like that. I'm just clicking on any one of these. The format is nice to know. The frames per second as well is nice to know. The in-out duration is cool. I guess I could choose image size, but that's kind of the same thing as raster dimensions, and so some of these will be redundant. Whether it's offline or not, I do care about that. Do I care about the pixel aspect ratio, whether it's square or non-square pixels? Yes, there's things such as square, non-square pixels. No, I care about the raster dimensions. I care about the start. Let's see. Let's scroll down here. Let's go to the start time code. Where's start time code? Start. And while we're doing start, we should scroll back up and go to end. We should look at the end as well. The end. And I mean, we could choose stuff like we have the in-out, cool, in-out duration. We could put, you know, different information. What project it's from, sure, yeah, maybe we care about this information. We care about anything else. I don't know, anything else we care about. What video format it's in the video file format. And so, yeah, I think that's everything that I want. The stereoscopic 3D eye order, I don't care about that. I know. If I was making a Marvel movie, maybe I'd care. Whether or not this has a LUT on it, I could do that. I could add a LUT in there. Frame count, duration, I don't know. Well, we can come back. We can come back to this. If there's anything we're missing, we can come back to this. Audio sample rate we'll throw in there as well. Cool. Just we have the sample rate, just in case we need to know. Again, this is up to you. Whatever you think you need to know, we'll say, okay, boom, it's going to list all these things there. So let's talk about the order that we care about these things in. So now we have these things listed on here. Oh, I also want to go in here. See, I did miss something. Choose columns, and let's put tracks on here. Let's go to tracks and say here, tracks, because I do care about tracks. Cool, that's important to me. So I like tracks first, and this is just me. I like tracks over here. So I'm going to drag the tracks column and just drag it over and put it right here. Oops, not before the name. Sorry, put it right there. So we have the name of the file. We have the tracks. Great. We have the start time code. Let's see, now I've got to find the start time code. Start time code, end time code, and then after end time code we have, oops, sorry, I didn't drag that over enough. Start time code over to here, and we'll keep dragging it over. Let's just make this bin super big so we can really see what's going on here. So then we have the start time code right there. Again, tracks first. Start time code, cool. I drag the tracks over here. Oh, that's image size. Hold on, let's go back to the beginning here. Scroll to the beginning. Okay, start time code. Okay, so tracks first. Let's do tracks here. Let's do start time code next. Let's do end time code next. And duration after that. And then we'll have the I/O time. We can obviously make the duration window a little bit smaller. The in-out. Where's my in-out? Here's my in-out. We'll bring the in-out over. And I have this organized with start time code, end time code, duration, in-out. Again, we'll put duration first, in-out. Then we have the image size. We have the raster dimensions. Now we have both of these. We have 1920 by 1080 for the image size, and we have the raster dimensions at 1920 by 1080p. I guess it's more important to know that it's progressive. Sure. So we'll get rid of image size. We'll just go and say hide this column and just get rid of image size because that's kind of redundant. And the format is 1080p 23.976, which I don't know if we need because do we have the frame rate? Oh yeah, we have the frames per second here. So we have this and that. Now do we want the raster dimensions and the frames per second and then separately have the format? This is redundant again. So we're going to say hide this column. We didn't know this. This is an MXF format. This is in the project. It's offline. It's on this drive. It's in this video format. It was created in this date and has this audio sample rate. We'll move this over here. Just have this. And so this is my layout. This is how I want things to be laid out for me in text view. This is beautiful and pretty to me. So we're going to go here and go to custom, and it's custom, and we're going to save as. And we're going to save this as and we're going to save this down here as Chad view. And so we're going to call this Chad view. This is the way that I like to work. And so this is Chad view here, and then cool. So now this is henceforth Chad view. So if I go back to statistics, I have another view in here called Chad view. And just to be clear, Command Shift equal, we're going to go into the project settings. If you look in the bin view settings, there's the basic, capture, custom, film, format, media tool, statistics, and Chad view. And if you double click on this, you can see all the columns that are listed in Chad view. So you have this here. So if you ever want to keep this, this saves with your user settings. So now this view, the way that you like to work, is saved there permanently. I noticed some things have changed about my bins recently. So there's an asterisk here next to the B-roll. I'm going to hit Command S for save, or go to File, Save Bins, Save Bin, and the asterisk is going to go away. Now I know this has been saved, and so everything's saved. The bin view is already saved, but I just want to make sure that the bin itself is saved, although when I close the bin, it will save automatically anytime I close the bins there. Oop, I close the sequences bin. This is a weird thing. Okay, let me talk about this really quickly as an idea. The idea, and I don't necessarily love this idea, but it sort of makes sense. If I have a sequence here on the timeline, so if I have a sequence in the timeline, and I move the sequence, and I roll through the sequence, and I play the sequence, etc., and I adjust the sequence. Right now, if I take this and I move this over, or if I do something, I take this and I just extend this a little bit longer, cool, I move this over here like this and cover this like there, I have changed the sequence. So I've changed the sequence. Well, the sequence is just a series of commands that live inside of a bin. So it's just a series of functions that I have created that live inside of here into the bin. So the bin has an asterisk next to it. And so the bin is here. So I can hit Command S and I can save the bin. I can hit Command S and I can save the bin where the sequence is located. Now the sequence is saved. Again, I'm going to change it again really quickly. I'm just going to do some minor change, something incidental. And now the sequence has changed. Great, this is now has a new asterisk next to it that says, hey, I have made some changes since I last saved this. Well, what happens is, and this is weird, when I close the sequences bin, this is always an issue. When I close the sequences bin, I close it and all of a sudden the sequence goes away. And you're like, why can't the sequence stay open even though the sequences bin is closed? And this is not because it's named sequences bin. I could call this bin, Harold or something, and, still it has a sequence in there. But it won't allow me to change this or won't allow me to manipulate the sequence if the sequence bin is closed. And again, Harold is a bad name for this, so we're going to go back to sequences because it makes more sense. I was just showing you that, it doesn't matter. So I have the sequences bin here. Now, think about it this way. The way that Avid saves bins. It doesn't. This is just information inside of the bin. So this is like a paragraph inside of a text document, and this is another paragraph inside of a text document. And anything I do to these files here, and anytime I rename these files and call these anything, these are just paragraphs or just pages or just sentences inside of this. If this was a document file, if this was a Word document or something, these are just lines of information inside of here. That's all this is just lines of information inside of this. So this is just an entry. Like if this was an Excel sheet or some kind of a tab sheet or something, this is just a spreadsheet, and this is just information inside of here. So these things are just pieces of information. So if you close a Word document, if you had a text document and you close the text document, can you still have the paragraph open? No, that doesn't make sense. Right? So these things, once I close this, it says, hey, I can't rewrite any of the paragraphs in here. I can't write any paragraphs in the sentence. I have closed the document, and the document's not there anymore. So that's, unfortunately, what it's going to do. It would kind of be more convenient, I think, if it could stay open, and it would just know better. But it doesn't. It just says, hey, once this is closed, this information is locked in here. It will auto-save when I close. So you'll see that if there's a bin that I've done something to, that I've changed something to, it's not saved right now. It says, hey, before you close this, I'm just going to save this for you. You're going to see a little prompt pop up, oops, save, and then it saves automatically. But that's just the way that it thinks and the way that it works, etc. when you're working with sequences and you're closing out bins. So my advice might be, if you want to keep the sequences bin open, I might say, hey, I have a sequences bin. I want this to be here all the time. I might either disconnect this and pull this out so it's floating, and then have a floating sequences bin. You could minimize this. You could minimize this and put this down here. Now it's here. It's not in your way. You don't see it. It's not there in your face. You could go down to the bottom taskbar and open it back up again and see it. But now it's just like hidden, but it's still open. So it's still there. It's still open. You can still save it. You can still go to here and go to File and Save All Bins, and it would save the bin even if you changed it. But now it's here. It's just not there. If you had a separate monitor, you could take this and move this onto a separate monitor over here somewhere and do some kind of change like that. Yeah, you could do those kind of things there. But the sequences bin is going to exist. You could even do this just as an idea. This is sometimes a thing you can do with any bins here. So you can dock bins into different places. So you could put another bin here and put these next to each other. Now you have two bins next to each other, or two bin containers next to each other. So now we have this bin container, and we have this bin container with these two bin containers next to each other. Or the one I really like, let me open up the sequences bin again. Again, I closed it, so here's the sequences bin. I do the sequences bin and drag it down to the bottom here, and then I have like a split level, a duplex, if you will. So here's the sequences bin, or here's the imports bin. So now here's the interviews, and I can do it this way. I could literally have like the interviews bin, take the B-roll, drag the B-roll in between here, and then have this open and have three separate bins. Here's interviews, B-roll, and sequences. Sequences can be a little bit smaller. Here's my B-roll bin, so I have these different things, and I can have this kind of duplex of bins. If I have a super huge monitor, I could separate this out like there and have these bins instead of here, and have this in here, and have all these bins like so, and then have this like there, and I could have this kind of, etc., broken out that way. But that's just, again, a thing I can do. Have this floating, open this up, have it be in here, main sequence. If you want to do that, if you want to start moving stuff around and organizing stuff there like so, you can do that as well. If we haven't talked about this, and I'm not sure if we talked about this, but it's a good thing to review sometimes. Every now and then it's good to review. I'm going to make a new bin, so I can do Command right-click and do new bin, or do Command N and make a new bin, and we're going to call this new bin cool footage. And so this is we're going to take cool footage, and I'm going to just drag cool footage again down to here, and we're going to look here. So I have a group of B-roll footage here. So I have a collection of B-roll footage. I'm going to take my B-roll footage. We'll put it, sorry, not in here. We'll click on this first up here, and we'll double-click the B-roll, which will put it up here. And so we have this B-roll footage here, and we have these B-roll footage marked in blue. So you see the highlight around them that makes them blue, that we can see them inside of blue, and they're there, and we can appreciate them in their light blueness. So we want to make copies of this. So there's two ways to make copies of this. I do want to talk about both these ways to make copies of these files for what you want to do. The more traditional way of copying these would be to hit Command D, and Command D will duplicate these and take all these files. So we'll click on this one, Command click on this one, Command click on this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. We'll take all these files here, and we'll go Command D, and we'll duplicate these files. And Command D will make new copies of these files. You'll see in here it made new copies of the files, and it called these new files copy. Breakout room copy, handing paper copy, and now we can drag the copies into this new bin. So now we have new copies here. Now these new copies are new copies that are referring to the same media, so it's referring to the same media, which means if I were to go in here and say delete, and I would delete the media files, guess what? I would delete the media files for this one and this one. But these are now independent master clips. We've talked about this before. You have master clips and you have media files. The master clip is just this information in here. It's just this listing here. It just tells you what the name of the file is, the creation date. It's kind of the metadata to the file. It's basically the reference for there. I always think about money in the bank. Try to think about money in the bank. Hopefully I have money in the bank, but I try to think about money in the bank, and in doing money in the bank, I think about the media files as being the money in the bank. The reference files are just my account statement, right? My account statement is basically worthless unless I have the money in the bank. Unless I have the actual checks in the bank, it doesn't help me at all, doesn't do anything for me whatsoever. So this is another check referring to the same money in the bank, which means if I delete it here and delete the media files, guess what? I'm going to delete the media files here. So it's going to be two separate references. And to that end, I can call this different names. And I could say, hey, let's go to this, and let's say, let's grab all these, and we'll change the colors of these to orange now. We'll go to orange because these are all orange. It doesn't change these ones. It just keeps these ones. And this one is called A045301. Up here it's called A04 or A005301. Up here we have A05301. This is two guys standing. I can rename this. I can open this clip up. I can change the in and out points on this, go to this section of the clip and in and out points. So this clip has these in and out points. It's called two guys standing. It's in orange. I can go in here. I could say, let's go into this. Let's go into basic view, and we'll add condiments, and we'll say these guys are great. And so I can change all the information about these clips. I can change all the details about these clips, etc. I can do all this stuff that anything I can change here. If I wanted to go in here and say make a new bin and make a scene bin or a take bin, whatever. But this two guys standing here didn't change this one, and even the in and out points are still over here on this one. This one's still in blue. This one still doesn't have comments on it. This one is a separate reference to the same media there. This is what's called a duplicate, and the duplicates have the extension copy on them. So this is they were all given originally the extension copy. So if you saw the names of these, they were all given the extension copy. I've renamed them. I can rename them if I want to, but they all started with being called a copy of these clips. That's there. Now, that said, what we can also do is we can say, let's get rid of these, and now we're going to delete these all. We're going to delete them all, but now we're not going to get rid of the media. If we delete the media, we lose everything, which would be a problem. We'd have to re-import it. We're going to get rid of the master clips. And these master clips, we're going to say goodbye, master clips, and now they just don't exist anymore. So now they're there. The media is still there. It's still here in A5301. It's still there like so. The other option is we can click on these clips. We're going to hit Command click on these clips, and we're going to do this. And we're going to hold in the Option key, and we're going to Option drag. So we're going to hold in the Option or the Alt key on a PC, and we're going to drag these from this bin into this bin. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a clone. Now, there's a difference between a copy and a clone. A duplicate, i.e. copy, we'll call a duplicate a copy, is different than a clone. A clone is an exact clone of this, which means changes I make down here, if I change these three to orange, guess what? It changes these three to orange as well. If I take A5301 and I call this two guys standing, oops, I turned that wrong one there. All right, so that I changed that one to two guys. That was some other clip there. That was breakout room. I clicked on the wrong clip. Oops, see, I'm doing it right now. Now I'm making mistakes of all clips. Okay, so this one is handing out paper. And this one is, why do I keep doing that? Handing paper. This clip is picture shot. I keep hitting return, and that's causing a problem because I keep going in the old school way. This is this shot right here is this is breakout room. Okay, so this is breakout room, and this is two guys. And so now you'll notice that the changes I make down here, reflected the changes I made up here. So anything I changed down here, if I go to CC and I call this over the shoulder, it's going to change the name there. So changes I make to colors, changes I make to in and out points, any of those changes I make inside of the reference to the media is going to change the media. Obviously, the same thing applies that if I delete this here and I delete the media, it's going to delete the same media. The same money in the bank is the same money in the bank. But the difference between copies or duplicates and clones, the opposite being clones, is when I change clones, it's changing both places. Sometimes you want to do that. 9 times out of 10, I think you mostly want to just make duplicates. Duplicates are probably a safer way to make it. That way you have two separate references to the files, because why would you duplicate anyway? But maybe you have a shot of, I don't know, really cool goats, and then you have there's a bin called really cool goats, and there's another bin called farm animals, and so you're like, well, I have some really cool goats. I want to put in the cool goats bin, and then I don't have the names for the goats, but I also want to put in the farm animals bin. I want to have this in two separate places, but then I find out the names of the goats and like, oh, this goat's name is Harold. Weird Harold. And then so I change it Harold, and it changes in both places. And so I may want to do that for my organizational sake, something I can do, some idea I can kind of pursue as an idea. So that's the thing. That's the trick. You can make duplicates, you can make copies, you can make clones. I'm going to go to this cool footage bin. I'm going to click on it, hit delete, and get rid of this bin. And now it's in the trash. We're going to empty this trash because we don't need this bin anymore. Again, deleting the bin won't get rid of the media, so that's really nice. It won't. We'll empty the trash. We'll go here, empty the trash. Cool, now I just don't have this here, but it's still here. Again, like so, we can rename these and put these all back to no color, etc. Or we can keep them as a color, whatever it may be. That's there. Other things we should talk about while we're here, while we're playing, other things we should talk about is we can go in here and we can say, hey, let's go in here and say, let's make our own custom column. So you can go in here and go to add a custom column. So say, for example, you go to choose columns and you see that there's a column that you want that you don't have. That there's something else there, some information that you need that you don't have. So say, for example, you go to OK and you say, let's add a custom column, and this is going to be a column called profanity. And so in the profanity column, you need to know whether these things are saying some dirty words here. And so you need to make a listing. There's a whole bunch of, questionable content, whatever it may be, and you need to say, okay, in this clip here, and I don't even know what this clip is, this clip here from the distance, this guy here, he's giving a speech, he says MF or something like that. And then this clip here, he says GD, HG. He says GD, and then in this clip here, he says GTH. You can do whatever kind of acronyms you want there for whatever purpose this is. He also says MF. He says, I don't know, FU. He says GD. And so there's all this profanity and all this, whatever it may be. And so he also says GD, and then he says GTH, and whatever it may be. You can just make a profanity column, and then you could sort by profanity. You could look up and sort by profanity and look at these. Basically, it'll look alphabetically there by profanity, and we'll sort based on profanity. So if you want to sort by name, you could sort by name. You could also sort by bad words. And then you can make another custom column and say choose columns, and you could say add a custom column and say, I don't know, rating. Or whatever. And you could say, okay, this clip, we'll go by profanity here. This clip is out of 10. This is a 7 out of 10. And this is an 8 out of 10. And this is a 6 out of 10. And this clip is a 10 out of 10. And this is an 8. And you can put grades on these, basically. And you can grade these. You can actually even do this if you want to do by, stars, This is a 3-star clip, and it will list these by number of stars. Now, it won't do this if I got to choose a process for this. So if I'm using numbers, I'm using numbers. If I'm using stars, I'm using stars. But you got to choose one. This is a 9. This is an 8. This is a 9. Sorry, this is a 9. This is an 8. This is a 7. And so there, we can look there. Now, in here, you'll see, inside the bin, you'll see that you have the ability to search. you do have a bit of a search thing. The searching by default is going to go by name. And so by default, if we're looking for a shot of over the shoulder, we can say over the shoulder, and there. And so, for example, even still, we could even make another column here and say, let's look here and make a new add a custom column and call this type of shot, type of shot, whatever it may be. And then, you could have a column for this is a medium shot, this is a medium shot, and I'm not even looking here. This is a close-up, this is a close-up, this is a close-up, this is a medium-long shot, this is a medium shot, and this shot over here, this is over the shoulder, this is obviously an OTS. And so now we can have this here like so, and we can have these named appropriately, close-up, and this is a medium-long shot. So we have these as different shots there, and I didn't even look, but you could sort by different types of shots. If you want to do that, or if you were working with an editor who wanted to know the types of shots, or you wanted to know what types of shots, yeah, you might want to do the legwork now and say, let's set up this bin and have this organized a certain way to have all this information here. So now, like I said, by default, this will sort, this little window right here will sort by name. And so you can go in here and sort by name, and you can go to handing paper, and you can find handing paper. However, if you click on a column, so if you click on a profanity column and you want to find all the clips that have GD in them, those are the GD clips. And so you have that reference there. And so if you want to find everything that says GTH, you can find the GTHs, etc. Or if you want to find all the shots in the type of shots, and you want to look for all the medium shots, you could look for all the medium shots that exist inside of there. But say, for example, you wanted to look a little bit further. You want to look a little bit more detail. You want a little bit of a better search engine. So we can go in here, and we can go into the fast menu in here. And in the fast menu here, there's an option for sifting. And there's what's called a custom sift, sifting the bin contents. And we're going to go here to sift the bin contents and look at ways in which we can sift the bin contents. So let's take a peek. Let's open this up. This is an old school window. This is a little bit outdated, but it works really well and it works really nicely. We have the ability to custom sift. And the custom sift works this way. We are going to find clips that match these criteria. Criterion. It contains a CU in, or let's say MS in the any column or range. No, let's go into the type of shot range here. And it also contains, so we're looking for medium shots. It also matches exactly MF in the profanity column. And so, profanity column. Also, simultaneously, while we're doing this, also find clips that match these criteria. So simultaneously, we're also going to look for anything that has contains or begins with AA. So these are unlabeled clips. Anything that begins with AA in the name column. And so now it's going to find all the AA clips, and it's also going to find any clips that have AA in them. And so, boom, we're going to say begins with AA, also has these clips, and we're going to say apply, and when we say apply, it sorts my bin there. So let's take a look. We have two guys, which is an MF and a medium shot. We have all these AA clips, AA, etc. And some of these are, etc. Now, if we did it without the AA, just to make certain we're searching, we'll reapply. And now it finds these two clips. So it found this clip, AA, MF, medium shot, cool. And so it matches these criteria. Now, if you notice that this bin here, just as a detail, we'll say okay here. This bin here says B-roll sifted, and that's the name of the bin. This is B-roll, but it says B-roll sifted. That's something to be careful of. That's something to watch out for. It's saying B-roll sifted, which means, hey, where's the rest of my B-roll? I used to freak out all the time. I used to freak out because I'd be like working and I'd open up a bin and be like, there were like 30 shots in here. Oh my God, what the hell happened? Oh no, this is not good. Did I lose all my footage? Oh, I didn't notice that this said B-roll sifted. Well, you have to go back here to the menu and look in here and say, oh, sift, show unsifted. Yeah, let's go back. Whew, okay, it's there. Everyone's okay. Everyone's fine. Cool, it's back to normal. Everything's good. Yeah, it's unsifted now. And so make sure that when you're doing these, you're not looking in here at B-roll sifted. You're looking at B-roll show sift, unsift, and then boom. And so you can see this unsifted here and see all the details and all the ingredients of this stuff unsifted. And so that's kind of a nice extra little feature that we have inside of here to see some stuff, see some stuff unsifted and see some of the work that we have available to us. Okay, so beyond that, so that is the show sifted, show unsifted, those controls there. Beyond that, we also have edit find. And edit find will allow us to find stuff. So this is even a more robust kind of control that we have available to us to do some stuff to find some footage. So if we're looking for footage, we say, hey, I want to go into find, and this is another way of doing it. It's kind of like this, but kind of more involved. You can find any clip that has the word breakout. You can look for any column, and you can look for any bin in the project. Normally this window here, or even the custom sift, refers to only the one bin, but we can look in any bin in the project, and we can look in here and say, okay, we're going to find the name breakout in any column. We could filter by just the name column and say search by the name column, etc., and look for those, etc. But we're going to choose that. We're going to choose find, and we're going to find the word breakout, and then we find the word breakout room here. And if we double click it, it's going to load it up in the source monitor, and it's going to park on it in here. Breakout room B-roll, it's there, and so we have the breakout room B-roll. It showed us the frame, it showed us in there, and it broke it out like a breakout room. Anyway, so now we can search for different things and search for different kinds of ideas. There's other things we can search for, so there's other things we can look at. You can look at script text, we can talk about later. This is if you bring a script file in here, you can import a script into here and bring a script file in here. Or you can bring in some other things inside of there. But there's also timeline monitors. You can look for markers, different markers, and different names of different markers, clip names in the sequence, in the timeline. And then you can also look for markers. You can also search for stuff you wrote into markers. So if you wrote markers on the timeline, you can say here and click, and add a marker, boom, and say, let's add a marker. We don't have a marker. Well, we have a marker right here. Add a marker, and we can say marker, needs color correction. We'll call this marker CC. And so we'll say, cool, this marker is called needs CC, and it says needs color correction there. If we went to find, Command F, edit find, we could go for markers, and we could type in CC, and we could find, and boom, it would find, in the markers in the timeline. I can click on timeline. Let's go to timeline monitor. Cool. Oh, weird. Let's type in color. There it is. I type in there. And so there, it's a bit of marker there that says needs color correction on that clip and tells me that's there in the timeline. Let's see if it does in markers. No, it's going to do it in the timeline because it's going to be in the timeline. So this is not source markers. This would be for source markers. That would be for timeline. My mistake there. And so we can put that in terms of information. We can search there. What's really fun is, just to be clear, I also have Avid Media Composer. So my version of Avid Media Composer is Avid Media Composer Ultimate. And Avid Media Composer Ultimate is the higher end version of Avid Media Composer. So if you have Media Composer Ultimate, you have some settings. You have the Symphony option, which gives you more color correction. You have the News Cutter option, which is kind of straightforward. But then you also have in here the Phrase Find option. And the Phrase Find option allows you to go into here and say, hey, let's look inside of here. We'll look in here. We'll say Command F, and here we're going to look in clips and sequences. And in clips and sequences, we're going to go here and say we're going to look for the words minority. And so inside of here, minority, we're going to search for the word minority. And instead of using find, we are going to use phrase find. And phrase find will offer us some better options in here. And so phrase find will offer the options to say search for minority, and then boom, it'll search. It's doing the phrase finding right here. It's searching. It will listen to the sentences of people talking and find anywhere that they said the word minority. And now when it does this, what it does is it helps us look through any place in here where someone said a sentence that involved there. What's nice about this is it gives us a score. So it listened to the audio. And said, I think someone said the word minority male or minority in here, and I found the word minority. Let's take a look. This is 98%. So in this clip of Fidel, it believes that it found Fidel with 98% accuracy that we're pretty sure this said minority. And if I double click on this, it's going to park here. It's going to park about a second before. Now, this is probably me saying minority, but it's picking up on the microphone, so it doesn't know whether it's Fidel or whether it's me. About the Minority Initiative Conference. So yeah, this is going to be this is me saying the word minority here. What is it going to be? What does it involve? And what the expectation is. So that it found that pretty good. Let's look at this clip of Lisa here. Lisa here.
Knew that the minority males
found Lisa fine. This is another part of Fidel that has 90% accuracy. Let's see. So it's saying, okay, so the minority male initiative. So it found these clips here and found these sections here where it believes it found with some level of accuracy there. The 54 accuracy, it might be, let's see.
Have them become familiar with organizations.
Yeah, it said familiar, and that was totally not the word minority. That was totally wrong. So, again, some of these lower ones won't have the same level of accuracy, but this is a way to look through all of your footage, and it will just kind of, voice to text this footage and say, yeah, I'm going to find out whether or not this person said this and have this setting in here like there, and it looks for different footage, etc. like so. So that is a trick that you can do. That is in the phrase find option. That only comes with Media Composer Ultimate. You can get it as a third-party plugin, or you can get it as a Avid-based plugin to add on, but it comes automatically with Avid Media Composer Ultimate. This is why you pay more for Avid Media Composer Ultimate. If you're doing a lot of this documentary work where you're searching for files and you're like, oh man, like 6 days ago, this guy we interviewed said something about, I don't know, Mesopotamia or something, and you don't know where it is, and you didn't have a good, camera assistant or some kind of production assistant taking notes or something, or a script supervisor, and you're like, man, I need to find this file where he talks about this. Phrase find is a wonder. It's really great and really helpful for finding footage and finding those things like so, etc. there. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to show a couple other features in here, and we want to look really quickly into the fast menu here. We're looking at the fast menu to see some features inside of there. We obviously have some basic features of align and fill. So if you have B-roll here that's in kind of a weird arrangement, you can say, hey, let's go here and go to here and go to line and fill, and you can choose fill window, and then it would fill the window up nicely, especially even if you made this bigger and it was all over the place. You could say, hey, let's just align and fill, and we're going to fill the window. Cool, and you could fill the window up there based on your size. That's there. There's a shortcut for that. Command T. Oh, man, now I got to remember what the shortcut is. Oh, man. I'll look it up. I'll put it in the comments. God, there's a shortcut for it. I thought it was Command T. Maybe it's Option T? I don't know. Something. There's a shortcut for it. I'll look it up for align and fill. Oh, there it is. Command T. That's weird. That didn't work. Oh, I guess because it was already sorted. Let's change the size of this, and let's move these a little bit differently. We'll move the bin there like so. Make it shorter. We'll make these a little bit like this over here, and we'll say Command T, and we'll go boom. Let's just drag these out, and we'll just do it there. Cool. Command T. There we go. Okay, so that sorts a little bit nicer like so. We can move these bigger, whatever it may be. We can change these up and move these around and move these like so. And so Command T would do align and fill, or fill window. And so just kind of Command T, boom, clean them up a little bit there. Yeah, I knew it was Command T. See, I'm not crazy. There it is. So the shortcuts, etc. For those kind of things. There is the bin map, which I think we've talked about before, which I don't really love, which is the show bin map, which is if you are working in frame view like this and you have stuff all over the place, and say, for example, you have this. Let's just open this up really big, and we're just going to take these files. We're going to put this one over here. We'll open this up wide like this, and we're going to open this one here, and have this here, and have this here, and have this over here, etc. And you have this all kind of a mess. You can close this, and you're like, oh, where'd all my files go? Oh, they're all missing. You can show the bin map. And the bin map is a new feature that just allows us to see this footage in a map that we can kind of navigate around and kind of drag around. It's this little thing that gets in the way sometimes. I don't know if I love it. I guess if you're a video game player, if you ever played like Legends of Zelda, you can go to the map screen and look around and see how this thing navigates inside the map. And that's something called the bin map. It's there. It's cute. It's not bad. I don't know. If you don't want it, get rid of it. You can hide the bin map, etc., and get rid of the bin map. And so, some features there. We're going to go back to here. Command T. Bam. Oh, man, that feels good. Doesn't it feel good? Align and fill. There we go. Cool. Anyway, so some things we can do there. The next thing I want to do is I want to look at the select controls, and so there's select controls. I kind of like these. These are kind of fun. These are kind of fun when you're organizing stuff. So say, for example, you go here to sequences, and in sequences, you can click on this main sequence. Now, we made this sequence a while ago, and we have this sequence here, and we have a bunch of footage for this sequence. So I'm going to go to this, and I'm going to go here, and I'll go either by right-clicking. Right-clicking works the same thing as a fast menu. So I think most of the stuff that's here is also in the fast menu. So you may want to just right-click. It might just be quicker if you have the right-click option. So select. We're going to choose select media relatives. Select media relatives. And so we're going to say select media relatives, and then we're going to boom. And what it's going to do is going to say, hey, I'm going to find anything that relates to this. So here, it should find anything. So it clicked on basically anything that I used in here. Here's the breakout room. Here's the other things I grabbed, etc. It found the media relatives. So this is the footage that was used to make this project. I used Fidel. I used Aaron. I used Wayne. I used Kevin. Here I have Aaron, Wayne, Kevin, Fidel. I have so these are things that I've used in this sequence. So if I go here to this sequence, I can choose main sequence, and it'll find media relatives. So this is anything related to whatever it may be. It'll find anything related to what it may be, etc. All that good stuff. So here, sequences, select, and select media relatives. This will help me find anything I used in this project, anything related to this project, etc. It will find that kind of stuff inside of there. So that is a nice little feature. Select media relatives. That's there. What's even cooler about that is now I can say, hey, now that I've found these relatives, I can say select, and I can choose reverse selection. And reverse selection would select anything I didn't select. So I have to do this for each bin. So in here, in each bin, I can say select reverse selection, and then we'll find all the clips I did not use. These are all the unused clips. So now I can go here to these unused selections and these unused clips, and I can say, hey, when I'm done with this project, I can delete these unused clips, and that's a really nice game to play, is saying I can select them, and then I can select the unused ones, and then grab the unused portions of these clips, etc. And so that's a nice feature. There's also, if you look, select, there's select offline items. You can look there. You can select unreferenced clips or unrendered titles, and you can grab in some unrendered stuff and unreferenced clips, etc. So if you just wanted to go in here and say, hey, I have a sequence here, main sequence, you could also do this main sequence and go to select and go to select unreferenced clips, and it would find unreferenced clips will select all clips that are unreferenced by any sequence in currently open bins. Reference clips from bins are closed and taken into account. Okay, yeah, that's what I want to do. Cool. And we'll find clips that I did not use and select those, etc. So basically here, select unreferenced clips. Yeah, I got it. Cool. And use it there instead of there. So I can use that. I can choose select unrendered titles, reverse selections, select offline items, which is nothing really is offline here, so nothing to worry about. But these are things I can select. So that's a nice little game I can play where I can play with some controls there. Really quickly, and I don't want to get too crazy because we're playing with bins. We're having some fun. We're going to do some stuff with bins. In here, there is an option here for the set bin display. And I want to show you really quickly the set bin display. This is a place I don't normally go to and I don't normally take a look at. But the bin display tells me what's going to be seen in the bin display. So what's there inside of the bin that exists here. So it shows me master clips. Great, that's what I want to see. It shows me linked master clips. Great, it shows me subclips. If for some reason I turned off show sequences, it wouldn't show sequences in the bin anymore. For some reason it just wouldn't show, sequences are just gone. It won't show sequences. Well, the sequence is still there from these previous ones, but if there was something in here, in, what bin was I in? B-roll? So sequences just wouldn't show up in B-roll. So that is in the bin display. That's there. Let's see if I can turn this off in the sequences bin, which would be weird and dumb. But let's see if this works. Again, this is something I don't mess with that often, but here we can turn off show sequences and say OK, and then boom, where are sequences? Why would you get rid of that? Why would you? Somebody wanted the option to get rid of that and not show sequences in there, etc. Cool. What I do like about this is that if you have a sequence, for example, if we take main sequence, we're going to duplicate main sequence. Command D, duplicate main sequence. We're going to make a new bin. New bin. Example purposes. I'm going to take this duplicate of this sequences, and I'm going to take main sequence, and I'm going to drag it into the example purposes. Now we have this main sequence, and so this sequence says main sequence. We can actually go here to the set bin display. Here, set bin display, and there's an option here. This is show reference clips. Select reference clips to see all the source material related to the sequence you added to the bin. So I add the sequence to the bin. I can show the reference clips, and now it will show me, boom, all the clips made to make this bin. It just puts it in there for you. So this is another way of seeing all the source material for this laid out like so. These are the reference clips in there. I just found out about that recently. That I saw it before, but I never actually read it and took a look at it. And I was like, oh, look, there's the thing. Every now and then you need to see that. What's really great about this, the show reference clips function, normally that's not on, which means you don't want to see it. But a lot of times when you don't know, if you have a sequence and you're like, am I working with, is this sequence, so right now, is this sequence all made from Avid media or is it made from linked media? I can't tell whether this is Avid media or linked media. And I could look in all the data and I could match frame to this. I could hit the match frame button and match frame to this. And then I could go here to find bin and look at the find bin and see what clip this is. Okay, this clip. And then I could go here and see whether this is Avid media or whether this is, you know, whatever. But it might just be easier to go in this sequence and be like, cool, this sequence, again, set bin display, show reference clips, and see, oh, okay, this is Avid media because it doesn't have the little link next to it, so it's not linked media. Great, that's cool. I just want to look at that for a second. We'll go back to set bin display. We'll turn that back off and say, hey, I just needed to see that for a second, and cool, just to make sure that I'm looking at the clips that make that. Sometimes it's just easier than having to click out or to show media relatives or anything else to just look at it like there. There are other settings that we could go into with things we could do with the bins. The one last thing I want to talk about, just one last thing I want to look at, which is a little bit careful. We looked at the bin settings, Command-Shift equal, and in here, in the bin settings, you see that it has an auto-save interval, and this is the auto-save interval. This is the tricky one here. So we're going to go in here and go in the auto-save interval, and we're going to go to the desktop here, and I'm going to go into inside of my computer here. Now, inside of my computer, on my Macintosh hard drive, and this is a little bit tricky, on my Macintosh hard drive, this is a place under users. So on a PC, it may be a little different place. I think it's under something else, but I think it's under Windows users. But here, users, if you go to users and you go to the name shared, so it's going to be a shared system, users shared, you're going to go to Avid Media Composer, all one word. So that's Macintosh hard drive. On PC would be C, users, shared, Avid Media Composer, all one word. So you're going to look for Avid Media Composer, all one word. Instead of Avid Media Composer, all one word, you're going to see something called the Avid Attic. This is a little hidden folder, and they kind of buried this, and they buried this pretty deep on purpose. Avid Attic. In the Avid Attic, this is the attic. It's kind of a cute name, the Avid Attic. And if you know you can't find this and it's not in your system, you know, just open up something and just search for Avid Attic. Just capital A, search, and up here in the search, we're going to go to capital A, Avid Attic. And we're going to search for the Avid Attic. And eventually, if you search, it'll find the Avid Attic, and here's the Avid Attic, and it'll tell you where it is. I memorized it on my system, but here's the Avid Attic. And the Avid Attic looks like this. The Avid Attic has folders, and inside of every folder, there are little project files. So in the project files, we have something like the Minority Mail CEA. And so in Minority Mail CEA, it says another folder here, and this other folder is called Bins. And so now we have a Bins folder. And inside the Bins folder, I know a lot of stuff here. Into the bins folders, we have all these other subfolders. And so we have sequences. And here are 17 sequences files. And if we look here as a list here, we can see sequences files going all the way back to January 17th. This is when I first made the sequences bin. And then today at 10:41, this is the most recent sequences bin. So this is every time this computer system has auto-saved this sequences bin. Now it gives them these weird extensions. Today at 10:41, it made one here called sequences.17. But here on March 14th, it made one here at 3:11 p.m. called sequences.9. Well, I'm going to take this sequences. I'm going to Command D and duplicate this. And we're going to take this sequences here, and we're going to call this sequences.9 copy. I'm going to put this in the desktop. It's going to live here. So let's take a look. We're going to go here, and we're going to take this, and I'm going to rename this. I'm going to name this sequences old. We're going to call this sequences March. Sequences March.avb. Now, my computer system is going to get weird at me and say, hey, it was originally called a .9 file, which isn't really a name of a file type, but we're going to work with it anyway. But now I'm changing it to .avb, and it says, hey, do you want to change this to an AVB? Are you sure it's an AVB? Here's the thing. I'm sure. I'm confident. It's an AVB. Why? Because it's in the Avid Attic, and it's in one of the the bins folders. And I'm going to change it to an AVB. And so now I have an AVB. Well, now I can go here and I can go into Avid. And inside of Avid, I can see what happened, what the autosave was from March of this sequences. So this was hidden here. I'm going to open a bin. Sorry, not clicking this bin. Not click on this either. Let's go to File, Open Bin, and we're going to look here in the Open Bin dialog box, and we're going to go to Desktop here, and in the Desktop, we are going to go to sequencesmarch.avb and grab the sequences from march.avb. Now, it may give me a problem. I'm curious if it's giving me a problem. Usually, if it sees the bin is open and it's going to bring in the same bin, it knows in the data, in the metadata, that like two bins of the same bin can exist at the same time in the same place. It'll get really confused. It may want me to close this one first. So let's see what it does. Boom, open. Nope, unable to open sequences March. Sorry, it's there. It's the time-space continuum. You know, like if you go back in time and meet yourself, you cause a vortex. And I don't know if you've ever watched, any important, sci-fi movies like Hot Tub Time Machine. You can't exist in two places at the same time. Otherwise, you'll have some problems. But here, we're going to close this sequences bin. Now the sequences bin is closed. This should be fine. We're going to go to File, Open Bin. And we're going to go to File, Open Bin. And now we're going to go to Sequences March. And now, there we go, Sequences March. And now we can look at main sequence from months ago. Yeah, man, this is totally different. I don't know if this is somewhat different. This is somewhat different. Now, we can't have these both open at the same time. So we can't have this bin called Sequences March. We can't have Sequences bin open at the same time. It doesn't do it. But again, if we close Sequences March and then open Sequences, we could have each of these be open. It doesn't look that different, actually. So, anyway, things we can do, changes we can make, adjustments we can do. It's just a way of working. But that is the way to bring stuff back. That is to bring back autosaves from the attic. They live in here. They live as a file. My advice, I promise you, my advice is to make a duplicate first. I wouldn't go ahead and start changing things in here. This is your attic. This is your safe haven, right? You don't go into here. You don't start moving stuff around the attic. Otherwise, Grandpa gets angry at you. Don't start changing stuff in the attic. You're going to run into some problems. Make a duplicate. Put it somewhere else. Have it as a duplicate. That way, there's always this untouched. Here's the truth. If you're a college professor, I'm going to let you know this right now. If you're a college professor and you're teaching Avid, don't tell students that the attic exists. I'm going to be honest. You'll be a superhero because a student will mess up a project and they'll have something horribly wrong, and they'll do something terrible to their sequence and be like, oh my God, my sequence is ruined. I just lost everything. I deleted everything, or I cropped everything, and all of a sudden everything's ruined and it's a big mess. And then you just go back into the attic and you go back one and you go here, and don't even show them this. Just go into there like you're a magician and go in there and be like, guess what? I just saved your life. Man, it's the best feeling in the world. You feel like a rock star, superhero. Trust me, I know from experience. It's there. Anyway, that's what we got for today. I know I try to make it as exciting as possible, but it's, bin settings there. It's some of the grunt work there that you have to do. It's not, cool special effects or anything, but it is important. It's really important to learn about. So I hope you had a good time. We'll go with other Avid stuff in the future pretty soon.